Now, Lowcountry Forever, a public affairs presentation of the Charleston Radio Group.
It's something you may be aware of. If not, we're going to bring it to your attention now, the fact that there is a critical need for blood here in the Lowcountry. We're going to find out why and then let you know where you can give the gift of life today on Lowcountry Forever. I'm Brian Cleary. We're joined by Mercy Myers. Mercy is the partnership and media coordinator for the Blood Connection. So, Mercy, let's start there. Can you explain to people? It seems like for a while now we've had a blood need. Why is that?
We have seen an extremely low donor turnout recently, mostly since the vaccine came out, the COVID vaccine. People are just wanting to travel. They're wanting to get back out, get back to their family, their school, their work, and they're not necessarily thinking about donating blood. I think a lot of it could be education as well. People don't usually think about how blood cannot be made. A lot of the medical technology these days has been advanced tremendously. However, blood still cannot be manufactured. It cannot be duplicated. So it has to be donated.
So we've had the pandemic come up. That's obviously affected everyone's lives. But even though we've had the pandemic, the need for blood, I guess, has pretty much remained consistent.
Yeah, not only remain consistent, and honestly, it's always going to be there. Unfortunately, we're always going to be asking you to donate. People always need blood, whether it's for something routine like cancer treatments or if it's for something urgent like an accident. People are always going to need blood. But in the summer, it gets even worse because people are traveling. The last thing on their mind is donating blood, taking that hour out of their day. They're not around town, they're out of town. And then also on top of that, the demand skyrockets because there's traveling, which means there's accidents. There's fireworks, which means there's accidents. There's violence, unfortunately, as well. So when a patient comes into one of our hospitals, sometimes the answer, if it's no, that could be the difference between life and death for someone. And we've never had to say no, but we're trying to proactively make sure that patient care is not compromised.
So this Wednesday, the Blood Connection is making it real easy for people to donate. You've got a big blood drive coming up, and you've managed to bring in some pretty big partners to allow blood donations to happen in a number of different areas. Tell us about who you're partnering with for this Wednesday's blood drive.
This Wednesday's blood drive, it's called Stock the Shelves. We're partnering with MUSC Health, Mother's Milk Bank of South Carolina, and Ronald McDonald House Charities. Ronald McDonald House is a great partner of ours. We're very excited that they're on board with us to do this. We are a blood provider for MUSC Health, so we're always excited to work with them as well. We're also the sole provider for other major hospitals in the area. And then we're partnering with Mother's Milk Bank of South Carolina. A lot of people don't know about this milk bank. They have milk donors come in and they basically process that breast milk to make sure it's safe and pasteurized. And most of that breast milk goes to treating babies in the NICU that need those nutrients. So we're really excited to be partnering with them. They do some really cool stuff, raise awareness. We have 4 locations for the blood drive on Wednesday down here in the Lowcountry. One is at Shawn Jenkins Children's Hospital. One is at Summey Medical Pavilion, MUSC Children's Health up in North Charleston. And the others are at MUSC Health West Ashley at Citadel Mall and MUSC East Cooper. So the blood drive is 10 to 3 on Wednesday, and you can sign up at thebloodconnection.org/stock-the-shelves. Please sign up. Please make your appointment right now.
We're talking about giving the gift of life, giving blood. Mercy Myers is the partnership and media coordinator with the Blood Connection, and they're hosting the big Stock the Shelves blood drive that's coming up this Wednesday. So let me talk to people who are listening right now, Mercy. Who is it that's available to give blood?
Anyone that's feeling healthy and well is eligible to give blood as long as you haven't donated blood in the last 56 days. You can donate blood every 56 days, which we encourage you to do routinely. So you have to feel healthy and well. Your COVID vaccination status does not matter. Also, you have to be 16 and above. If you're 16, you need that parental consent form. If you're 17, you don't need it. You have to weigh 110 pounds, and we definitely encourage people to eat a good meal before they come, especially if you're used to feeling woozy when you donate blood.
I give blood on a regular basis, so I know the answer to some of these questions, but the first thing that I think some people think about is, I'd like to give blood, but, it's going to hurt so much. It's just going to be too painful, but that's not really the case.
Yeah, it's definitely not the case. We make it very easy, very streamlined, very comfortable for you. I wouldn't say it's painful. If anything, some people have reactions, that they can't control. So if you're someone that doesn't have a reaction, You have got to donate blood because there are a lot of people that are either ineligible because of their travel or the medications that they take, so they can't donate. And then there's people that actually get sick when they donate, and so they can't donate either. If you do feel sick, maybe try again, eat a good meal, drink a lot of water. If you drink water, your blood will flow faster, so it'll be over quicker. So I encourage you to do that. If you do not have a reaction, you really need to donate blood because a lot of people have reactions. A lot of people, again, are deferred.
The other thing that people will say is, well, I have to work on Wednesday. I can't take the day off to give blood. It really doesn't take all that long to make a blood donation.
No, and if you make your appointment too, we can know how many people are coming and how many staff to bring, which means there won't be a wait. I do want to add, though, not to get too serious, there are people in the hospital that don't have time to wait. Their blood could be the difference between life or death. It could be the difference between the quality of life for them. I know so many cancer patients that we work with for testimonials that have had 10 or 20 blood transfusions, which means that's multiple units of blood. One unit comes from one person. Your 1 unit of blood could be split up to save 3 people, or one person could use 100 units of blood if they get in the wrong kind of accident.
Wow, that is a lot of blood, which is why we need to collect it. And each time someone gives it the blood at a blood drive like the Blood Connection is having coming up on this Wednesday, there's some rewards. And this time you've got a kind of unique award that'll help to benefit another organization?
Yeah, so we're really hoping people come out just to do something good, not only to give blood and save someone's life, but also we are going to donate per donor. We're going to donate $10 to the Mother's Milk Bank of South Carolina that I was just speaking about, the group that takes breast milk donation and makes it safe and pasteurized for babies in the NICU. So it's not a breast milk donation event. This is a blood drive, but we are going to be donating $10 to the Mother's Milk Bank of South Carolina per blood donor. And then on top of that, we're going to donate $10 per blood donor to the Ronald McDonald House, which just does incredible things. They work very closely with Sean Jenkins in the hospital as well to make sure that families can stay close while their child or sibling is getting treated.
We're talking about blood today on Lowcountry Forever. I'm Brian Cleary, joined by Mercy Myers. Mercy is the partnership and media coordinator for the Blood Connection. Their Stock the Shelves blood drive coming up at 4 different locations this Wednesday, an opportunity for you to give the gift of life. Mercy, I think people have heard the name The Blood Connection. They may not be entirely up to speed on what is it that you do. So can you lay it out for people to understand what the Blood Connection is and why folks should donate blood at this drive?
So Blood Connection was founded in Greenville in 1962, and we're a local blood donation organization, and we're a nonprofit. So every time you donate blood with the Blood Connection, we have no profit off of it. We test that blood and we deliver it to our local hospital partners. Here in Charleston, that is Trident Medical, that is Roper St. Francis Healthcare, and that is MUSC Health, which is who we are partnering with for this blood drive. So when you donate with the Blood Connection, that 45 minutes of your day, that unit of blood will be tested, made sure that it's safe, and it will be delivered to a local hospital here in the Lowcountry. You could literally save your neighbor's life without spending a dime. It takes 45 minutes to an hour of your day. So I'm encouraging you to do that just out of the kindness of your heart.
So anybody who goes out to these blood drives, they can know that their blood that they're giving is going to stay here in the Lowcountry helping someone here locally.
Yeah, and you never know when it could be you or your family member or someone you know. So try to put yourself in someone else's shoes and just imagine you're stuck in the hospital. There's no replacement for blood at all. It's not like a joint. You can't make a joint. You can make a joint out of some metal. You literally cannot go in the back and make blood for someone. And again, it could be the difference between life and death for some people.
That is an amazing point, but it's so true. Yeah, you get hip replacements, knee replacements, whatever it is. A blood replacement, though, is only from someone else donating the blood. Now, in terms of blood types, I would assume you'd accept all. Is there one that's more important than another?
We are accepting all blood types right now, and we are asking everyone to donate right now. We are not picky in the month of July. So few people donate. We need all the blood that we can. We also take platelet products up here at our center in North Charleston. So if you want to learn more about platelet products, you can do that too on our website, thebloodconnection.org.
Is there any way for you to put into a perspective when we say there's a need for blood in the Lowcountry, how much blood is being used every day here? Can you give people some kind of perspective in terms of this is why we need it because this is how much is going out?
Yeah, so before the pandemic, we would operate between a 5 and 7 day supply of blood. It was not hard to get blood donors in the door before the pandemic. We're not sure what happened. It It also could be an educational problem. But 5 to 7 day supply is what we like to have because, again, like I was saying earlier, you get one trauma patient shipped to your hospital. We also provide blood for medvac helicopters as well. That person's put on a medvac helicopter, uses blood, gets delivered to a hospital. They use 100 units. That could wipe out a day of our supply. Right now, we have been hovering around a 2 to 3 day supply, which is basically half of what we want it to be. The other day, we were at a half a day supply of O negative blood, which is the universal donor. One trauma case, again, could have wiped that out. That next patient, there wouldn't be O negative blood for them. O negative blood is that universal donor, which means everyone can accept that blood. So if you're O negative, make sure you're donating every 56 days.
We've gone through the pandemic, but there still is a fear out there with some people of COVID. That's not a reason not to give blood. You guys, you've taken steps in terms of you're going to be safe. You don't have to worry about COVID at a blood connection blood drive.
Our staff doesn't come to work unless they're feeling healthy and well, and we're not going to take your blood unless you're feeling healthy and well. Our blood also goes through extensive testing to make sure that it's safe for whoever it's delivered to. So I would encourage you to not be scared. It doesn't matter your vaccination status to give blood. So please just come and give blood. If you've been deferred for some reason for travel or medications that you take, encourage those around you to donate blood. Be an advocate for the blood connection, since we are the local blood center here in Charleston, and we are a nonprofit.
So we're asking for just an hour of your time. That hour could save up to 3 lives. It's the Stock the Shelves blood drive with the blood connection. Mercy, if you wouldn't mind one more time, run through those locations, but most importantly, let people know where they can go online to make their appointment for the blood drive, and do that now.
Yes, we need you to make an appointment as soon as possible so we can know how many buses to bring, how many staff to bring, so that there's no wait for you guys. So go to thebloodconnection.org/stocktheshelves. Our 4 locations are MUSC Health, Shawn Jenkins Children's Hospital, downtown Charleston; MUSC Children's Health, Sami Medical Pavilion up in North Charleston; MUSC Health, West Ashley at Citadel Mall; and MUSC Health, East Cooper. So there's no excuse. There's 4 locations, all in different areas. There's no excuse. A lot of times people use that as an excuse. There's not one happening around me. We have blood drives going on every day in every city. So you've got to make sure you find one near you. Preferably this one because of the give back. $10 to Mother's Milk Bank of South Carolina, $10 to Ronald McDonald House Charities of Charleston. Again, that website is thebloodconnection.org/stocktheshelves. The blood drive is this Wednesday, July 20th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can save your spot at thebloodconnection.org/stocktheshelves.
Save your spot and save some lives with just an hour of your time coming up this Wednesday. It's important for you to do so. And that blood supply now is at that critical level, right?
Yes. 2 to 3 day supply is what we have of most blood types. Less than that for O negative blood. We have to make sure patient care is not compromised. There's no replacement for blood. If there is not blood on the shelves, and we are facing a potential shortage, which could mean a no. We would never, ever want to say no to a hospital partner of ours. We have so many across South Carolina and North Carolina. We would never want to say no, and that starts with you. Unfortunately, no matter how hard we work here at the Blood Connection, if the public doesn't hear our message, if the donors don't come in, that blood is not created, it's not tested, and it's not delivered to the hospitals, and it could compromise patient care, which we just dread.
It's an opportunity for individuals kind of to be heroes right in their own backyard.
Yes, for free too. Most nonprofits are asking for money. The Ronald McDonald House, they always need money. Please donate to them if you can. But this is a cool way. If you don't have that money to donate to a nonprofit, this is an incredible way to save someone's life. Your energy, your body, your blood, it's like an organ donation. Someone is in the hospital. They have to have that organ. It literally cannot be replaced. Someone donates the organ if they can, and it saves that person's life. It's just like that. Imagine your blood, your healthy blood running through someone else's body, making them have a better quality of life or making sure that they have a life.
It's time to make your reservation and participate with the Blood Connection for this Wednesday's blood drive.
And I do want to reiterate, when you donate blood with the Blood Connection, it stays right here in Charleston. We are a nonprofit. We've been around since 1962. So make sure to donate with us, the Blood Connection, and donate at this blood drive, thebloodconnection.org/stocktheshelves this Wednesday at 4 MUSC Health locations. Thank you so much.
She is the partnership and media coordinator for the Blood Connection. Mercy Myers, our guest today on Lowcountry Forever.
The Charleston Radio Group is the Lowcountry. Every week, we highlight local organizations and events that are helping to make a difference here where we live. If you have a group, event, or an idea to feature on Lowcountry Forever, let us know. Visit lowcountryforever.com and click on our podcast link for contact information. Now, Lowcountry Forever continues.
There's a housing issue in the Lowcountry. Can it be solved? Well, we certainly hope so. We're going to take some steps in that direction today here on Lowcountry Forever. I'm Brian Cleary, and joining me is Craig Logan. Craig is the Housing Executive Fellow with the Charleston Metro Chamber. Now, Craig, it's a position that you've just come into. Is this a new position with the Chamber or one that the Chamber's had for a while?
Brian, this is a new position with the Chamber. So this is brand new. March was my start date. So super excited to kind of help the Chamber launch in this direction as we really think about this crisis that is taking over our area.
Define for us, if you would, the role as a Housing Executive Fellow. The Chamber has tasked you to do what?
So as the Housing Executive Fellow, I will be the key point of contact person for the Chamber, working with local governments around housing issues, policy issues, but also working to put together a regional housing coalition. That is really one of the big tasks that I'm tasked with here at the Chamber, is to kind of think about how that's going to look, the build out of that, and then really implement in that regional housing coalition.
Now, I think when people look at the Chamber of Commerce, whether it's here in Charleston or wherever, you think Chamber of Commerce, you think businesses. For the most part, the housing issues that we have affect individuals. It's an issue that needs solved. Any help is great, but why would the Chamber get involved with an issue that's seemingly for individuals and not necessarily businesses?
When we think about housing, of course, we just think about those keywords, right? We think about housing, we think about rent prices, we think about the shortage of housing, but we really don't connect the dots in that area. So housing is an issue that really is a cross-sectional problem. Housing affects the workforce. When employees can't live close to where they work, they're forced to travel an hour and a half in traffic to work and from work. And what that does for the business sector is it makes it really hard for them to keep qualified individuals. It makes them hard to recruit individuals here in the Lowcountry because, again, if you're moving to the Lowcountry and you're brand new to it and you get here and you realize, man, I don't have adequate housing or I can't afford the housing that's available here, well, then that broadens the issue of housing beyond just knowing that there's a housing shortage. But then now it's affecting that workforce development aspect of it. So at the Chamber, of course, one of the biggest things that our members have been communicating to us here over the last 2 or 3 years is that there is a shortage of housing, and that's directly impacting their ability to bring in qualified, skilled people for the workforce.
So the housing issue doesn't affect everyone. So there may be some people who say, oh, wait a second, the economy in the Charleston, in the Lowcountry area is booming. Everything's up and running. We're doing well. How is it? Why is it that there is a housing issue? How can you address that?
If we think about housing, there's an estimated 76,000 housing units in the region that spend about 30% of their income or more on housing. And so when you think about that and you really dial into those numbers, that impacts everybody. It impacts them having the ability to live a quality life. It impacts them affecting how they spend their money, where they choose to put their money, and then also where they choose to put their time. You know, when we think about housing and we think about how that develops into the workforce, if you're spending 2 hours on the road each day, an hour to work and an hour from work, that's time that you're not with your family. That's time that you're not there with your kids, helping them after school with their homework. And that's time that is just dedicated solely to being on the road. And when we even think about that, right, a shortage of housing means that there are going to be more cars on the road. So now we get into a transit issue, and it really just begins to impact every piece of the economy and the moving workforce.
That's amazing. It's like the onion, and you're peeling back the layers, and we're finding more and more issues. We're talking with Craig Logan. He is the Housing Executive Fellow with the Charleston Area Chamber of Commerce, joining us today on Lowcountry Forever. And Craig, when we talk about the housing issue, is it just that people can't afford to buy housing, or are you finding out that renters have the same challenges?
And that goes really across the board. So renters are also having issues finding decent places to live, places that, again, are not super distant from their workplace, and then just finding rents that are affordable. Rents actually within the last decade, and especially in 2019, increased about 40% regionally in the Lowcountry. And so say you're a local teacher and you're working at a school, ideally it would be great to be able to have a short 10 or 15 minute commute to your job. But teachers are being forced further and further away from where they're actually working. And so what that does to the workforce is teachers just simply aren't accepting those jobs, or they're moving to a city where adequate housing is a bit more affordable. And that then creates a shortage of teachers in the workforce as well. So it isn't just those people who are looking to purchase a home, but even those people who are just looking for affordable rentals. That housing issue really tackles rentals, and it also tackles home ownership.
So I guess then we're in a real estate boom right now. Everybody's talking about, hey, I put my house on the market, 18 hours later, I have an offer, 10% over what I'm asking. So that's a good thing. But on the other side, not so good for people trying to rent houses, people that can't afford to buy these houses. The chamber has taken on an issue that comes with challenges.
Absolutely. That is definitely one of the big initiatives with this new role at the chamber, is just looking at how can we work through that problem so that it's going to be super beneficial to both renters, to both employees, and even to those people who are looking to purchase a home here in the Lowcountry.
So as your role in the Housing Executive Fellow with the Chamber, as much as I would like you to, you're not going to pay my rent for me. And you can't do it on an individual basis. You talked about bringing some people together. Is this a legislative thing? Is this city, state? Can you point us in which direction you think you may head?
We're definitely at the beginning of really building the foundational pieces of what this regional housing coalition is going to be. But it's going to be a coalition that is going to do really about three things. The first thing is going to be to educate people on the housing crisis that's here in the Lowcountry. You made mention that for some people, they're thinking this doesn't even impact me or doesn't affect me. So it's about really bringing stories together, bringing the narrative together behind why there is an issue and why it really impacts people who really don't think it impacts them. And with the Regional Housing Coalition, education is an important aspect of it. And then after we educate people, we hope to bring along advocates that are going to help us tell those stories, that are going to help us educate their network and their circle of influence, so that we know what the issue is, we know how it impacts the region as a whole, and then we can work together to figure out some sustainable solution so that we can get ahead of this thing.
I love the fact that you use the word sustainable. I would think some people would worry that, hey, it's great that the chamber is getting involved, but is this just going to be a, hey, we'll have a lunch here and a talk here? What do you think would be, at least, if not the definition of success for what you're doing, at least you know that you're making some progress and going in the right direction? Is there anything you could point to that would help paint that path to show that, yeah, we're making some positive effects here for the community?
The third piece of that goal that we'll be working with the Regional Housing Coalition is going to be action. So honestly, when we start to really look at numbers of how many projects are being permitted, how many affordable rental units are being built and being accessible to the workforce here in the Lowcountry, when we think about those kind of numbers, those are going to be some of the metrics that we're going to use to let us know that, hey, we are moving towards the right direction. So again, not the only thing that'll be useful, but those are going to be super useful as we educate people and as we build out that advocacy piece of it. Then we're going to look and see, hey, let's look what the numbers are. Let's look at what action items are we talking about, and are we really putting in place to bring forth some sustainable change?
And Craig, when we talk about the housing issue, I think some people would look at it as, well, those are people who aren't really trying to work, or they just have a low-end job. I've been surprised myself to find out in talking with people like yourself and even some homeless organizations, there's some people that are homeless in the Lowcountry that have full-time jobs they just aren't making enough money to pay the rent. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about and what you're pointing to here, the affordability factor.
Absolutely. So when we talk about affordable housing and we talk about housing in general, that goes from homelessness all the way up to people who are making 120% of the average median income. And
Wow.
so we got to look at housing from a total aspect and total perspective. So that addresses those people who are on the lower end who are fighting against homelessness, to those people who make that 120% of the area median income, finding housing that is suitable for them. When you think about that and how it really trickles down and impact, there's a shortage of housing in general. And so for that person who does make 120% of the area median income, if they can't find adequate apartments to rent or housing units to purchase, they're going to go and find what they can afford. And so now you have a problem to where you have that person who makes that 120% of the area median income now being able to say, hey, listen, I really can't find anything that I would love to rent. So let me go and find something that I know I can afford in my budget, and that is going to allow me to either be closer to my workforce or closer to my job, or that is just going to, again, give me somewhere to put my head, to lay my head down at night. And so when you think about kind of how that scales down and how this impacts the whole range of housing, that's the issue that we have to talk about, from, again, homelessness all the way up to that person who makes above that 120% of that area median income.
This is Lowcountry Forever. I'm Brian Cleary, joined by Craig Logan, the Housing Executive Fellow. It's a new position with the Charleston Metro Chamber of Commerce. Craig, I have to think that people will be encouraged to know that the Chamber of Commerce, normally just a business organization, and certainly there's a business angle to do that, helping out individuals in the area. Can you take a second, though, for people who they think they know what the Chamber does, but as a Chamber member and someone who works for the Chamber, how do you describe your organization to folks out in the community?
So the Chamber of Commerce, super amazing organization. The Charleston Metro Chamber of Commerce has actually